Shalom, giving all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahawah Bahasham, Yahawashai Bahasham Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations unto the elect. And I wanted to get into a quick and to the point topic dealing with the book of Ruth and what is the moral of the story. Now, I was watching this brother's video, his YouTube page is Shalach La Math. All right, 3. All right, and make sure you subscribe to this brother's page and be edified. The title of this video, as you can see, Ruth was a Moabite based off Yahawashai's lineage. And, you know, a lot of camps, as this brother was saying, do all they can to teach opposite of what we teach, you see, because we teach that Ruth was a Moabite, and you have particular Israelites who are on this, doctrine that pretty much an Israelite man can't put seed into a heathen woman and that child still be, all right, an Israelite, which they're sadly mistaken, because there's various examples of this, and we've brought out these various examples. So that's not what this video is about. You know, even Solomon's son, you know, directly after the kingdom was rent, all right, where you had, you know, the kings who sat on the throne of David, you know, the first one was Jeroboam, you see, which was Solomon's direct son, and his mother was an Ammonite, you see, an Ammonite queen, all right, that King Solomon laid with, and a seed came forth, and he sat upon the throne of David. Although he was wicked, he was still an Israelite of the tribe of Judah, which is how he was able to sit on that throne. Now, in this video, the brother, you know, is addressing a comment, because a lot of men and a lot of women constantly, you know, when you bring up the book of Ruth, they always want to argue on the nationality of Ruth, but they don't pay attention. All right. And I've very rarely seen anyone who's discussing this outside of us, you see, that brings out the true understanding of what the book of Ruth was about. They're so focused on the woman, and they're so focused on, you know, establishing their own righteousness, that they forget about the seed. You see, they're so focused on the earth. All right. But they're not acknowledging the seed and what this represented when you read the book of Ruth, which it wasn't called the book of Ruth, right? In the ancient days, it was just a story. And Ruth was a vessel chosen, as we'll read, you know, through a union with Obed, okay, to bring forth Jesse, which was the father of David. All right. That is the purpose of this story. When you read it, it's tracking the lineage of David and the Messiah. That's the main purpose that you should take from the book of Ruth. And that's what I want to get into real briefly. And I'll try to be as straight to the point as possible, because I've done a lesson on the whole book of Ruth before. If you want to look that up, just look up GMS Book of Ruth, Understanding the Book of Ruth. Should be on this page, but either way it goes, I'm pretty sure you can find it. Now, in this video, the brother was addressing a mocker who came onto the comment board, you know, arguing about, you know, the nationality of Ruth, because we've done videos on that already, you see. And here it is. This dude comes and puts a comment on the video saying, you know, I don't agree. And the brother asks him simply, you know, do you have a video or a lesson where I can listen to? And this dude sends someone else's video. As the scriptures say, yeah, prove your own works, man. But either way it goes, whether Ruth was an Israelite or a heathen, which we teach she was a heathen, all right, you know, ultimately, it doesn't matter. What matters the most was the seed that was implanted in her, all right? Now, this was at the time of the book of Judges, all right, at the time that there was judges being placed up over Israel, all right? Now, when you go into the law, all right, on a concubine, you know, when you took down the particular nations that were round about, if you saw a heathen woman that you were pleased, all right, to have a union with, you know, you would take her and she would shave her head, her nails, all right, which those heathen had various idols associated with nails and hair, and they would shave their nails and their hair, and it would be like a renewal for a month. They would mourn the loss of their family, their fathers, mothers, whatever happened to, their particular nation as we took them down. And after that, she would convert to your God, your rules, and she would be under your dominion, and she will be a wife. It's not, the same as the wife of your nation, yet she is a wife. She's just of a lesser sort. That's what concubines in some cases were, right? Because you have different kinds of concubines, all right? A concubine was ultimately a wife, all right, through bondage, all right? That's why Hagar, which was Abraham's wife, was called the bondwoman. All right, and that was his concubine. Now, as you read the book of Ruth, we're going to start here, and then I want to get this article as well. There's some very, very important terminology that you need to pay attention to, because, what I notice in Israel is a lot of people don't truly understand the scriptures. They're just here to argue. All right, because I've never heard outside of us, and the men who teach the likewise doctrine, anyone establishing what this story is really all about. You see, and that's the seed, all right, which would issue forth from Perez, all right, all the way up to this point, all right, which would lead to David, all right, and eventually Solomon and Yahawashai. Now, because the Bible tracks that seed, you see. Now, let's start here, Ruth 1:1. It says, now it came to pass in the days when judges ruled, all right, there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah. You see, and the reason it says Bethlehem, Judah, because there's two Bethlehems, all right. There's one in the region of the land that was given to Zebulun, and then there's one, all right, closer to Jerusalem, all right, which was the city of David, where David was born, where the Messiah was born, all right, and so forth, all right. Now there's a land, all right, attached to this, all right. So it says it said a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, all right, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his two sons. Now, his wife was Naomi. It was a famine in the land of Canaan, which is the land of Israel, basically. So they went ultimately to the country of Moab, okay? And as you read verse 2, it says, and the name of the man was Elimelech, all right, Elimelech, all right? I believe that the meaning of that is the power of the king. Let me just get that for you. My God is king. My power is king. All right. Aliyah Malak. All right. Now, that was the brother's name. All right. And he's, all right, of that lineage of Perez. All right. And we'll show you who Perez is in just a minute. All right. When I tie it all together, because I'm guarantee you the most or the majority of the men and women who make these arguments and come onto these videos crying and, trying to establish that they don't know these basics. All right. We here at Great Millstone. All right. You have to understand the scriptures, man. All right. Which ultimately, once you understand the scriptures, you get out of your emotions, man. All right. It says the name of the man was Aliyah Malak, and the name of his wife was Naomi, and the name of his two sons, Mahlon, all right, and Leon, all right, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. Now, when you see this word, this term, Ephrathite, okay, that is a very important terminology, okay, that you should be well aware of, all right. Now, the Hebrew word is Afrathya, all right. It says fruitfulness, ashiness, all right. And you can see the name of that. As a matter of fact, let me just go to the root word, which is aprath, okay. Heap, place of fruitfulness, all right. And this is ultimately the city of David. This is where Yahawashai was born. This is where David was born, all right. Now, as you keep reading, it says a place near Bethel, where Rachel died and was buried. But as we read down, okay, you'll see that term Ephrath, right? You'll see it mentioned here. But let's get the we'll get this in Psalms 132, and then we'll get Micah real quick. This is Psalms 132. Let's see here. In 1, a song of degrees. All right, this is David. Remember, Yahweh, remember David and all his afflictions, how he sware unto the Lord and vowed unto the mighty God of Jacob. Surely I will not come into the tabernacle of my house, neither will I go up into my bed. I will not give sleep to mine eyes or slumber mine eyelids until I find out a place for the Lord, for Yahweh, all right, which that's Jerusalem, all right, a habitation for the mighty God of Jacob. Lo, we heard of it at Ephrath. You see that? We found it in the fields of the woods. You see? Now, as you read down, what does it say here? Just to shorten, for the sake of time. Verse 11, the Lord hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of thy body, you see, will I set up thy throne. And if thy children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit up on thy throne forevermore, which is the throne of David. And Yahawashai is going to sit on that throne, you see. And for the Lord have chosen Zion, he have desired it for his habitation, which Zion or Sion, all right, is ultimately Bethlehem, where the temple set, you see. And that's where we would rule out of. It said, this is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. All right, so this is a particular land. As you read up, it says, we have heard it at Ephrath. All right, now as you let's go back. Let's get the prophecy here in Micah, the 5th chapter in the 2nd verse. All right, as you men are so focused on the earth and want to argue, you miss out the whole story of that seed, which would eventually lead to our salvation, which is Yahawashai, you see, who was the offspring of the lineage of David. Micah 5:2. But thou, Bethlehem, all right, Ephratah, all right, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall come forth unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, which is Yahawashai, whose goings forth have been from old and from everlasting. All right, because he didn't just pop up in the New Testament. All right, he's been spoken of and prophesied about. All right, all throughout the law, the prophets, the Psalms, various scriptures. All right, prophesy of his coming. You see, but this is speaking of the Messiah. But as you can see, that landmass is tied to it, Ephratah. You see. Now, as we go back to the book of Ruth, see, you have to understand this story, because within this story, all right, Ali Malak, Salakia is giving me hell with this. Let me reload it. Ali Malak, as you read it, he died, you see, in Aliyamalak, in verse 3, Naomi's husband died, and she was left and her 2 sons. All right. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. All right. The name of one was Oprah. All right. Oprah is Orpah. All right. And it says, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. All right. And Malhan and Shilion died. You see, now, the focus of this story should be that landmass, because it belonged to Aliyamalak, but he passed away. Then his 2 sons inherited it, right? And they passed away. You see? Now, as you read the story, Ruth was basically taken in by Naomi, all right? And you read the rest of the story. Now, what's the importance of this story as we continue reading in this story? Let's type in Boaz, all right? Boaz, all right? Ruth chapter 2 and 1. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, You see, a mighty man of wealth and the family of Aliyamalak, and his name was Boaz. You see? So as you continue reading this story, what you'll find out is that Boaz, okay, acted as a kinsman redeemer to buy back that land, all right, and he laid with Ruth, all right, to bring forth Obed, which would eventually bring forth Jesse, which would eventually bring forth David. Now let's look up the name Boaz, because like I say, you all are so focused on the earth, on the woman, because of course woman worship and, you know, whatever other, ulterior motives you have. Because, when we bring these things out, you all say that we bring this out and say she's a Moabite because we have heathen wives. Like, come on, bro. The Hebrew word is Boaz, which means fleetness. It says ancestor of David, kinsman redeemer to Ruth, daughter-in-law of Naomi. So kinsman redeemer. You see? So this story could have easily been titled The Book of Boaz because of the law that he fulfilled, all right, in inheriting the rights to that land, all right, along with taking Ruth to be his wife and implanting a seed in her. It could have easily been called Ephratah, all right. It's called the Book of Ruth because she was the vessel chosen to bring forth that seed. You see, and you all are all, going out of your wits because it's a heathen when you're not focusing on the main purpose, man, which is the seed. You see, now the purpose of that doing through Obed redeeming that land, which you can read the story. I don't want to get all of it. You have to read it for yourself. This is abideinchrist.com, all right, which we don't use the term Christ, but just for the purpose of this lesson, I'm going to go to this article. It says, our kinsman redeemer, Leviticus 25 and 25, Ruth, chapters 1 through 4. It says the nearest kinsman or kinsman redeemer is a Gaal. All right. Now, when you go to the book of Job, we'll just show you this word redeemer. This is Job 19 and 25. For I know that my redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth, which is speaking of Yahawashai. All right. Now, when you look up that word redeemer, it's Gaal. All right. Gaal, it says to redeem, to act as kinsman redeemer, to avenge, to revenge, all right, to ransom, to do the part of a kinsman, which through the Spirit, this is a prelude to Yahawashai and what he would do for us, the nation of Israel, starting with the elect. He's redeemed us back, all right, to the Father. He paid the bill, all right, because as you read this article, it says what? Provisions was made in the law of Moses for the poor person who was forced to sell part of his property or himself into slavery. All right. It says the nearest of kin could step in and buy back what his relative was forced to sell. Now, in the purpose or in the case of the book of Ruth, all right, this was the purpose of Boaz. All right. As you read here, read it again. Ruth 2 and 1. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's. All right. Now, who was her husband? Aliyamalak. All right. A mighty man of wealth of the family of Aliyamalak, and his name was Boaz. You see, now let's get the book of Ruth 4 and 4. See, to show you this, how he fulfilled this law. Ruth 4 and 4. Let's see here. Because there was a controversy over who would be a heir to that land. Now, there was a man before Boaz, all right, who was first in line. But as you read the story, he couldn't take on that land because it came with Ruth. And he said that would ruin my inheritance. Ultimately, he basically probably had a household. All right, he may have had another wife or just wanted one wife and knew that if he took on Ruth, it would ruin his household. So he didn't take Ruth. So that's where Boaz comes in. Now, verse 3 says, and he said unto the kinsman Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech, all right, or Aliamalek. And I thought to advertise thee, saying, buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people, if thou wilt redeem it. All right. Redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me that I may know it. For there is none to redeem it besides thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. All right. Then said Boaz, what day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also Ruth the Moabitess. All right, the wife of the dead, because Aliamalek's sons died, and one of his sons were married to Ruth. All right, so she became a widow, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. All right, redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. See, once he knew Ruth came with the deal, he said, I'm not going to redeem it. You see, now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing for to confirm all things. A man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. And Boaz said unto the elders and to all the people, ye are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Aliamalek's and all that was Chilion and Mahlon's, all right, of the hand of Naomi, all right, her two sons that passed away as well as Aliamalek. You see, moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife. You see, and that's proof she was a heathen as well. But we'll get to that in another time. It says to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place ye are witnesses this day. So it was forwarded through what? Boaz. Not only did he take the land, he took Ruth. And as you read the story, let's keep reading. It says, and all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. All right, Yahweh make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah. See, which two did build the house of Yasharallah. And do thou worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. You see that? So Obed basically was told, all right, to make the woman which is coming to his house like Rachel and Leah, all right, which did build. Now let's look up this word build, all right, because they were two vessels chosen, all right, to have some of the sons of Jacob, all right, which fulfilled the 12 tribes of Israel, all right. I believe there was two other concubines as well. Now, let's see here. That word for build is banah, all right, and it's to rebuild, to establish, to cause, to continue. You see, so what was continued here in the book of Ruth? All right, let's see. What would Ruth be used to continue? All right, what seed was implanted in her? All right, let's just look. All right, not only was the land, all right, redeemed, all right, but also that lineage of the Messiah. Let's read the very next verse. And let thy house be like the house of Pharez, who Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which Yahweh shall give thee of this young woman. See, that's the importance of this whole thing. The seed which Yahweh, all right, give to thee of this young woman. All right. See, he was older than her. Now, if you read, who is Pharez? All right, let's get to Pharez. All right, the Hebrew word is paratazah. Pharez, when you read Genesis, the 38th chapter, Judah. All right, as you read it, he lay with Tamar. All right, as she played the harlot, as he went out looking for a harlot, and he laid with her. and she had two children. All right, Zerah and Perez. Now, when you read it, it says breach. That's his name, meaning. All right, twin son of Zerah. All right, of Judah by Tamar, an ancestor of the two families of Judah, the Hezronites and the Hamulites. From the Hezronites came the royal line of David and the Messiah, Yahawashai. All right, well, let's go back here. Okay, so she's likened unto Tamar. Okay, and she's likened unto Rachel and Leah. All right, because they were vessels chosen to what? Have a seed implanted into them to bring forth some very important figures for our nation. All right, now let's read this again. And let thy house, verse 12, Ruth 4 and 12, and let thy house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which Yahweh shall give thee of this young woman. And it gives you Matthew 1, 2 through 6. All right, Matthew 1 and 1, the book of the generation of Yahawashai, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot Judas of his brethren. All right, which is Judah. All right, one of the 12 tribes of Israel, Judah, which the Messiah would come out of. All right, David would come. All right, before that, and it says, and Judah begot Perez and Zerah of Thamar, which is Tamar, and Perez begot Ezram, and Ezram begot Aram. And as you go all the way down, right here, let's go here, and Salmon begot Boaz of Rahab, all right, which was a harlot, I believe. And Boaz begot Obed of Ruth. And Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king, and David the king begot Solomon, all right, of her that had been the wife of Uriah, all right, Bathsheba. And as you go down, it goes all the way up, to basically, and Jacob begot Joseph, which was the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahawashai, who was called the Messiah. All right, these are the generations, all right, which led to the Messiah, showing you he had a father. His father was of the loins and lineage of David, all right, Boaz, before that, Jesse before that as well. Now, as you keep reading down in this chapter, it says, so Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife, and when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception. She conceived a seed, just like Mary conceived a seed, and she bare a son. All right. And it says, and the women said unto Naomi, blessed be Yahweh, which have not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine own age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, have borne him. So what is the purpose of the book of Ruth? Ultimately, Boaz was that kinsman redeemer who came to save the day. All right. And ultimately, not only did he redeem that land, which was Bethlehem, all right, he redeemed that seed line, which would lead to the Messiah being born. And as you can see it here, it says the line of David began here. See, and Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and began to nurse, all right, and became nurse unto it. And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi, and they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. All right, and that's very important. All right, and it says, now these are the generations of Perez. But Perez begot Hezron. All right, and it goes all the way up. Perez led to what? Boaz, then Obed, then Jesse, then David. All right, and when you go to root, the root of Jesse, Isaiah 11 and 10, in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which ultimately is the father of David, which, speaking of Yahawashai, which shall stand for an ensign to the people. And to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And when you read this chapter, the Gentiles are speaking of the outcasts of Israel, all right, who have been scattered, all right, Israel and Judah, who have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, now going back to this article, just to read a little bit more here, it says the nearest kinsman or kinsman redeemer is a Gaal. The word means to redeem, to receive, or to buy back. Provision was made in the law of Moses for a poor person who was forced to sell his part of property or himself into slavery. His nearest of kin could step in and buy back what his relative was forced to sell. All right, and that's Leviticus 25 and 48. We can get that real quick. Leviticus 25 and 48. And after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brother may redeem him. All right. You can read this whole chapter to get a grip on everything. And I'll put this article in the description box. And Lord willing, you can read it if you want to ultimately get more understanding. It says the kinsman redeemer was a rich benefactor, all right, or a person who frees the debtor by paying the ransom price. Now we know Yahawashai would do this for the elect, all right, as he offered himself up as a sacrifice for our sins. He basically paid the bill. You see, that's why he is called the Redeemer, all right. But in this case, the rich kinsman was ultimately Obed. He was a man of, or Boaz, I should say. He was a man of wealth. Now, it said, if a fellow countryman of yours becomes so poor he has to sell his property, then his nearest kinsman is to come and buy back what his relative has sold. All right. The nearest of kin had the responsibility of redeeming his kinsman's lost opportunities. If a person was forced into slavery, his redeemer purchased his freedom. And this is what Yahawashai did for us overall. You see, when debt threatened to overwhelm him, the kinsman stepped in to redeem his homestead and let the family live. All right. If a family member died without an heir, the kinsman gave his name by marrying the widow and rearing a son to hand down his name. All right. And that's Deuteronomy 25 and 5. All right. Genesis 38 and 8 and Ruth chapters 3 through 4. All right. It says, when death came at the hands of another man, the Redeemer acted as an avenger of blood and pursued the killer. All right. And that's what Yahawashai is going to do for us as well as the kinsman redeemer. You see, it says Gaal was used of things consecrated to God. Leviticus 27, 13 through 31, as of God as redeeming man. And it goes into those scriptures. And I'll put this in the description box so you can read it to yourself. It said the right of redemption and the office belonged to the nearest kinsman or near kin, near relative. All right. It says Yahweh is the great kinsman of his people. Where their liberty was lost in Egypt, he rescued them from bondage. And how did he rescue them? Via that angel. You see that was on that chariot, which is Yahawashai. All right. And that's how he redeemed with his stretched out arm, his right hand, which is Yahawashai. All right. It says the ancient patriarch Job complained that no one came to redeem him. His faith is seen reaching out and proclaiming that Yahweh will provide his Gaal, which is Yahawashai. He speaks of that as we read earlier. All right. As for me, I know that my Redeemer kinsman lives, and at the last he will take his hand on the earth. And that's in Job 19 and 25. Job's hope looked for the coming Messiah. He affirmed his faith that his Redeemer will come to the earth. And that's speaking of Yahawashai. And he said he himself will see Yahawashai, showing you he would be in the new body. But that's a whole nother lesson for another time, man. And when you read this, it goes into how Yahawashai fulfilled that for us. You see, it says 4 things were required, all right, in order for a kinsman to redeem. He must be near of kin. Okay, he must be able to redeem. All right. He must be free of any calamity or need of redemption himself. All right. He must be willing to redeem. You see, redemption was complete when the price was completely paid. All right. And Yahawashai fulfilled all of these with his sacrifice. And he is, all right, our kin. All right. He's free from calamity because he was sinless. All right. Or need from redemption himself because he paid the price. All right. He was willing to redeem. He offered himself up. The Lord put the spirit on him. All right. It says, Yahawashai is my Gaal. All right. Now, this is, of course, a Christian website, but this is speaking actually for us as Israelites. You see, he's our nearest kinsman. All right. It says, for what the law could not do, weak as it is, was through the flesh, God did send in his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh. I guess he had the mark of the beast. And as an offering for sin, he condemned sin in the flesh. All right. It said Yahawashai has the power to redeem. All right. It gives you the scriptures. He was willing to redeem. He gave himself. All right. Yahawashai has paid the price in full. All right. It says our redemption is precious. All right. And you can read this article so that you can understand the importance of the book of Ruth and the importance of Obed. You see, a lot of you want to make these constant arguments about the nationality of Ruth, but you're not really fully understanding what this book, all right, fully means for us as Israelites. All right. It brought forth it continued that line in which the Messiah would be, brought through. So the water Yahawashai, all right, for Obed, who laid with Ruth, the water Yahawashai for Ruth. All right. Within this story, which that egg, which in her nourished the seed. She conceived the seed and brought forth Obed, which got Jesse, all right, and which got David, begat, all right, meaning they had a seed, all right. So this is very important, man, and we should know this. This is Galatians 4 and 4 rather. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law. Yahawashai was made under the law, which means he was the seed, all right, of a man. All right. That's why I made it a point to tell you his father was from the loins and lineage of David. All right. Going back to Pharez. All right. The Hezronites. Look it up. To redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. All right. So this was just a foreshadowing of what Yahawashai would do for us, man. That was a blessing what Boaz did. You see? Now, if the book was called the Book of Boaz, you wouldn't hear too many men really arguing, that she was an Israelite and this and that. All right. But because it's called the Book of Ruth and you want to, put women on a pedestal and all of these things, where she was, like Mary, it said Mary was highly, esteemed, above other women, for she was the one chosen to bring forth the seed of Joseph, which was Yahawashai. Well, Ruth in that situation was the one highly esteemed. All right. It's that simple, man. She was just a vessel chosen to bring forth that seed. But the importance of it all was, all right, that land, which was Aliyah Malak's, all right, and that descendant, Boaz, who had the riches and acted as kinsman redeemer, all right, and brought forth seed through Ruth, point blank, period. Now that word redeem here in Galatians, all right, is Salakia. Messed up real quick. To redeem them that were under the law. Who was under the law? The Israelites. All right. And basically through the flesh, we couldn't fill the bill, man. We were in debt. So Yahawashai paid the bill, man, and redeemed us.
Strong's G 1805. Exagarazo.
All right. It says to redeem by payment of a price, to recover from the power of another, to of ransom, to buy off. All right. metaphorically of the Messiah freeing the elect from the dominion of the Mosaic law at the price of his voracious death. You see? So now we have a grace period, which is going to usher us into that new covenant, which those laws will be written in our inward parts. Not that the law was done away with. We're just free from the punishment of trying to keep that law perfectly. And the water Yahawashai for that. All right. But if Boaz hadn't have did what he did, you see, we wouldn't have the Messiah. You see? So let's give a round of applause for Boaz, man. Call halal Yahawashai, man. You see? So I'm going to leave it there. Oh, and also this word adoption, to receive the adoption of sons.
Strong's G 5206. We are Thesia. We are Thesia.
Okay, adoption as sons, that relationship which the Most High was pleased to establish between himself and the Israelites in preference to all nations, man. So I just wanted to go through that, man. I mean, of course, there's a lot more, dealing with the Redeemer and how Yahawashai ties to it. But I just wanted to tap into that. This is Romans chapter 9, verses 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach, for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, all right, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh Hamashiach came, who is over all, God bless forever. Amen. You see, he is the kinsman redeemer. All right. Not only does he have the ability, all right, to redeem, he's willing to redeem. All right. He will redeem. All right. His people back to the Most High. All right. And we will go back to that land which was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and rule forever and ever and ever under that order when he returns. All right. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I will edify, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahawashai, Bashim Rachakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutation to the elect. Shalom.